Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Different by Design. I'm your host, Nick Treester, and today we're going to be celebrating something. That is 500 subscribers on this YouTube channel, which is pretty crazy because I never thought that we would get to this point, and it's a milestone that I figured that is worth celebrating. So, let's go into a little bit about this little YouTube channel. And by the way, I am filming from my 1964 Studebaker sedan that I'm currently working on and somewhat disassembling so that we can put together my 1964 Studebaker Daytona, which is relevant because this is a Studebaker YouTube channel, or at least that's what I started it out to be. I figured that I wanted to preserve the legacy of Studebaker and put together some videos on the history and maybe some of their cars and that sort of thing. Something that was relevant to today's technologically advanced and connected world, where we could all share and find information about this car brand that we love. And what I figured out is that not only do I have an interest in Studebakers, but I also have an interest in a lot of other different things. So you might have seen that I posted quite a few different varieties of types of videos on here, and some are related to Studebaker and some are not. Originally, I did try to start this out as a Studebaker YouTube channel, but like I found out, it takes a little bit more content than just Studebakers to have a successful YouTube channel. So originally, I had the idea for this Studebaker YouTube channel during the pandemic. I was all cooped up inside and didn't really have a whole lot to do, and so I started going on YouTube to watch videos during the pandemic, like a lot of other people did. And I wanted to find more Studebaker content, but I could not find it. So that led me to the idea of creating this YouTube channel. Now, there's a few things that I try to keep on my YouTube page, and this is kind of my web map of different ideas and different content areas. I won't just post anything on this channel. It's pretty specific. So some of the different categories are classic cars, museums, racing, vintage stuff like vintage buildings or architecture or style, stuff like that. Aviation, trains, agriculture, and agriculture history. Not all those have to do with Studebakers, but I've actually noticed a lot of the same audiences that enjoy one or two of those things might enjoy one or two of the other things. To be interested in one thing at a time, it's called hyperfixation. So I'll fixate on something, a subject, a topic, or something out in the world and get really almost obsessed with it or really enjoy the idea of it and then move on to the next thing. So sometimes the YouTube channel follows my hyperfixations or the fixations that I have on certain subject matters, and then I'll move on to the next thing. Studebakers have always been a main fixation of mine, so I've always been obsessed with Studebakers. I think they're very unique and very cool. I'm also interested in classic cars, but I can't envision myself owning another classic car until I have at least a couple running Studebakers, because it's quite an addiction, and I really do enjoy the brand and what it stands for and the history. The history is what I'm most interested in. So classic cars, obviously, that's a big one. And then racing, I'm a huge racing fan. I've loved NASCAR since I was like in 4th or 5th grade. And so I followed NASCAR for a long time. But I'm also interested in sprint car racing, IndyCar racing. And I spend a lot of my spare money and time following racing series. And I like to follow IndyCar, especially because it has a lineage with Studebaker. So I'm very interested in IndyCar, the current IndyCar, previous vintage IndyCar culture and that sort of thing. I'm also very interested in museums. I love going to museums and walking through. So I've had the opportunity to make some videos about museums. So my job is kind of unique. I'm able to travel around a lot and go to some different unique places. And so when I do that, I like to make videos about what I find interesting in museums. Obviously, there's a lot of those types of videos out on YouTube, but mine is just from the perspective of what I think is kind of cool. So always be a museum fan, especially if it's got like some industrial or aviation or transportation related material in it. So the aviation bug, I kind of got bit with that recently. So I do like planes and anything with a motor on it. So planes definitely count towards that. There's, of course, an aviation factor that was tied to Studebaker when they were manufacturing different components during World War II for the Wright Cyclone engines that went into the B-17 bombers. So that's always been fascinating to me. It's a link, again, to Studebaker. But in the current modern world, I do really enjoy watching planes, just going plane spotting. eventually someday I'd love to be able to take my Studebaker and go to a local place here in Dallas that offers great views of plane spotting, be able to take the car and kind of do that sort of thing and enjoy that time with my vehicle, and also being able to watch the planes while doing plane spotting. So I do that fairly often, and sometimes when I am traveling, I'll find a place to do some plane spotting or look at planes or go through aviation related museums, that sort of thing. So aviation will probably always be an interest of mine. And then there's trains. Of course, who doesn't like trains? I don't know much about trains, but again, I do like watching trains. Sometimes I'm out in West Texas and there's a lot of scenic areas where there's great train spotting and that sort of thing. I haven't posted any videos on that, but it could be a future topic for sure. And then I'm also involved with agriculture. That's where I'm involved on my day-to-day job. So that's what pays the bills and what keeps food on my table, so to speak, quite literally. So I'm involved in agriculture, and my family's been involved in agriculture for 5 generations. Of course, Studebaker was founded by brothers who were blacksmithing at the time, and they were working to basically produce goods for farmers. So there is a little bit of a tie even to agriculture in some ways. Indiana, of course, where Studebaker was founded, was a very agriculture and still is a very agriculture dense place where they produce a lot of agriculture goods, including commodities like corn and soybeans, that sort of thing. Vintage stuff, I love anything vintage. So like old school clocks and radios and telephones. I mean, I love going to swap meets and just looking at old stuff. I don't even need to buy it. Just looking at it's cool. When I see stuff, I like to envision kind of how it was used back in the day or who was using it. And then, of course, we've also got, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So it really means a lot to have 500 subscribers. I really appreciate anybody that's liked this video. If you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button because I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And at that point, I will get monetized by YouTube, which would help me cover the expenses of running a YouTube channel. I spend about $35 to $50 a month on a software editing suite that allows me to edit these videos. And this is not my full-time job. I've got actually a very demanding job outside of this YouTube channel that I work on pretty regularly and or every day, obviously. So that keeps me very busy from the months of basically April all the way into October. I try to do a lot of my editing during the winter. But yeah, I've got a huge archive of videos that I'll be churning out, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. I'm also working on moving my house. So I just purchased a house for the first time. I'm a first-time homeowner, and I've actually moved in the middle of having this YouTube channel before. So this is kind of an exciting point in my life. I've got a 2-car garage now where I'm moving. So this is an opportunity to kind of show you my current setup, which when I move next month is going to be a major improvement on what I've currently got going. So I'll just give you a quick glimpse of my current workshop and how tight things are. So within the next couple of weeks, I'll be moving all of this stuff into my new location. This is my 64 Sedan that I am working on getting parts off of, and we're going to put it on that machine right there, the 64 Daytona. So 64 Daytona has a V8, and this was a 6-cylinder Sedan, which I'm taking some of the components off. I'm going to save some of the others for another project, and it's going to be probably a major theme you'll see on the YouTube channel moving forward, since I'll have a little more space and a little more time to dedicate to working on those 2 cars. So again, just want to thank everybody for 500 subscribers. Never thought that we would get to this point, and it's taken a little bit of work, but I really enjoy editing videos. I would say that's an additional hobby of mine, is just learning how to edit videos, making better videos. I'm not going to say every video has been absolutely a banger or been something that's been awesome to watch. There's been some flops out there for sure. Some of them I've just thrown together, and some of them I've really spent some time on. And it's kind of funny to see which ones succeed. Some of the ones that you don't think would succeed very well end up getting a lot of views, and the ones that maybe you put 10 or 12 hours into, it doesn't really do that well, which is kind of funny. So I really enjoy improving that. It's a creative outlet for me. Again, this isn't my full-time job, but eventually someday if it's possible, I would love for this channel to grow to a size where it is bringing just a little bit of income in, enough to be able to pay for the software suite to be able to edit the videos. And then eventually, someday, way down the line, it would be awesome if this YouTube channel could bring in a little extra income to be able to pursue hobbies like Studebaker. I'm sure if I get to that monetization point, which there's a good possibility that I never reach that 1,000 subscribers, but if I do, that'll definitely be one of the areas that I spend that money is right back into the channel and buying up more Studebaker memorabilia and cars, and just maybe even taking trips out to LA to go to the little Palma meet, or going to PA for the Hershey meet, or traveling around. There's a lot of expenses with that, but I'll always be a Studebaker fan, and I'll probably do this channel no matter if it's successful or not. But I really do enjoy that there's an audience out there now, at least to see some of my creative pursuits, even if they're sometimes a little questionable at best. So thank you, everybody.